We had a period where we were making a lot of money smuggling people out of the UK. If you get up and protest, it goes click, click, and you sit down again. Isn't it funny then that Lego make little pirates for the kids to play with? How could the pirates be celebrated in all these different ways if they were so bad?
Ahoy ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the Deck Tales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is where we dive headfirst into life at sea. From stunning destinations to unexpected storms, our guests have stories that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed a tear. Whether you're a seasoned sea dog or simply curious about life on board, Deck Tales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. Today's guest isn't a Pirates of the Caribbean extra, he's the real deal. He's surfed hurricanes, escaped the Royal Navy, smuggled all sorts, and says everything you know about pirates is wrong. With over 6 decades at sea, operating far beyond the charts most sailors ever lay their eyes on, please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Cummins, aka Captain Tonz. So let's anchor up and dive right in. Hello, Mr. Cummins.
Hello, Sam.
How are you, sir? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
That's great. Hey, for you and for you only, I figured if there wasn't a more appropriate time to use this feature on Zoom, it would be now. So, how's this? Tell me what you think. Yes or no?
Nah. You're an entertainer, man. You know.
I'll lose it. For the audio only listeners, I've just put on a pirate hat and eye patch filter, but it was a tacky gag at best.
It was a compliment. I'm very happy to receive it, but I put that to one side.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew it wouldn't last, and I couldn't have done the whole interview that way, Anthony, because it'd be hard to keep a straight face. I mean, it's just, yeah. But so I got put in touch with you through somebody else I interviewed who has a podcast called Shipwrecks and Sea Dogs. How do you know Rich?
I don't know. We met, I think, on LinkedIn some time ago. You know, I've only really been around for about 6 years, you know.
You look older than that.
Yeah, I know. I am, yeah. But until 6 years ago when I met Sam Conniff, you've heard of him. He's the multi-sales book, Be More Pirate.
Oh, yes.
He invited me. Yeah, great book. Everyone's got to read that. Please do. He invited me to the book launch in London. Kind of novelty, I suppose. I present a real pirate, you know.
Yeah.
And he convinced me to go there, and I did. And that's when I came out, as when I publicly said for the first time in front of everybody, I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
So I've only had 6 years of this being a pirate situation so far.
Publicly. Yeah. Well, when I put the feelers out there for questions to ask a pirate to the followers of the channel, a lot of them, well, some of them got in touch and were like confused. Like, what do you mean? What kind of pirate? I mean, is it morally acceptable to invite someone on to talk about evil doings? And I just left it. I said, you know what? Sod this. Just whatever you think is a good question to ask a pirate. But of course, there's many different types, which we'll go into. For listeners who've never heard of you before, is it Anthony or Tony or Captain Tonz? What do you prefer to go
Captain
by?
Tonz. Captain Tonz is my public name now, and I kind of went with it.
So how would you describe Captain Tonz in a sentence? What's he to many people that do know you?
I'm a pirate. I do pirate work. Well, you know, my business card reads Unconventional Marine Solutions.
Yeah, it's like a drug dealer calling himself an unregistered pharmacist.
Yeah, but here you are, you see. I've decided thanks to Sam Conniff in his book and a lot of people around there and their pictures who kind of discovered me and told me, look, just say how it is and we'll deal with it. They gave me confidence, and I've decided that it's time perhaps that somebody stood up and said, listen, guys, everything you know about piracy is wrong.
It's not all black and white. It's not all Johnny Depp and Pirates of the Caribbean. No. You said to me, you are a Piran pirate, P-E-I-R-A-N, Piran pirate. And I did try to look that up and find out what that meant. So what is that exactly? Am I pronouncing it right?
A Piran is pirate. The word pirate,
yeah, that's what I thought.
Comes from the Greek root word Piran.
Right.
And Piran was first formed as a word by the great sage Solon of Greece. When he got together a bunch of explorers and crooks and good people, bad people, he formed them into a group called the Piran, the pirates. The word actually means in the Greek, those who boldly go.
Yeah. What about Jason and the Argonauts? Were they technically Piran? Because they went across to the Colchis to steal the Golden Fleece. So essentially they're pirates too, but they didn't call themselves that. They called themselves the Argonauts.
Well, in a way, you're correct. But you see, each different group of pirates has a different reason for being pirates. The Taiwanese pirates, the Sulu pirates, the Somali pirates, they all have different reasons for being. And the Argonauts possibly does fall into the Piran reason for being.
What is the Piran reason for being? Just to explore, like in Star Trek terms, go where no man has ventured before. Boldly gone, I mean. It's about
exactly
discovery.
That.
It's about discovery and
exactly that.
Pushing the boundaries.
Well, Solon, after he formed together the Piran, he sailed off for 10 years. So he was in search of knowledge. And what he learned, his crew of 3 ships, they also learned, the Piran. They learned exactly what Solon learned, that made him a great sage. So, I mean, we're not talking about a bunch of thieves or drunken guys. We're talking about something incredibly learned people.
Yeah. Okay. So immediately, right off the bat, back to the source, the stereotype couldn't be further from the truth. But so you've been called everything from a pirate to a sea whisperer. Is there a title that you prefer? And what is a sea whisperer?
A pirate is a job you do. A sea whisperer is more spiritual. It's a different thing completely. So whilst at times you can marry them together, you can call on the sea for assistance. They are 2 separate things.
Oh, interesting.
That have their own values.
Do you remember what was like the first moment you decided that the sea was your calling?
I had a rough upbringing, I was a motherless child and all kinds of problems, a dead-end kid. And at 14 years of age, I ran away to sea and got on a big ship bound for New Zealand, got to South Africa, didn't know about apartheid, spoke to black people, got put in prison. And from that minute, everything was downhill fast.
Right.
Eventually got onto a Swedish ship and tricked my way onto the ship. I was on the Blue Star Line and I was dishwasher. I washed the dishes for the crew.
Wow.
The Swedish ship needed a sailor, so I told them I was a sailor.
Just picked it up as you went along.
They took me on. Well, yeah, but there came an event that changed everything. You asked for what it was that changed everything. And that was a particular wave during a hurricane in the Baltic Sea. And I was on the wheel and everyone was afraid because I shouted. There's a wave, five waves away coming at us, was this enormous wave. It was an unusually big wave. It was a mountain. And everyone was afraid and they came to the wheel. And I said, get away from me. I've got this. And I connected with the ship, I connected with the rudder, I connected with the sea, and I went through this wave in the most incredibly professional way, perfectly. The crew all came to me and like hugged me and everything because I had virtually saved their lives by going through this incredible wave. And at that moment, I suddenly realized I had value in life and I could take responsibility, and I did. And that's the moment.
Wow.
That on the grapevine in the Baltic, there was this young kid who had done this. So another ship captain heard about it.
You were 14 though?
And asked me. No, I was now 17 because I'd already been around the world on the big ship when I first started. And so this other captain, a Swedish captain, heard about my exploits with this wave and asked me to leave that ship and join his ship because his ship had a steering problem and he needed somebody special to steer it. And he chose me. Well, I transferred to that ship. Unknowingly, the captain was a pirate. I was a master pirate. And that's how I became a pirate.
And how did you get your pirate name? Has that been with you for some time? Captain Tonz?
All pirates' names change. They're always got 2 names or 3 names. And I started off in my pirate life as captain in the North Sea. And I was known as the barge captain.
The barge
captain.
Then
I worked the Red Sea. Yeah. I moved all the barges in the North Sea were moved by me. You know, all the houseboats in the Thames were taken there from Hull or somewhere by me, and I was known for that. I then moved to the Red Sea, where I was known as Arabone, Captain Arabone. Mm. And if you break the word Arabone into 2, you could get Arab 1.
Okay, that's not the way I was splitting it.
Anyway, you asked me.
I did.
So I then moved operations, to other parts of the world until I ended up in the Philippines, and there I became in the late 80s Captain Tonz.
Captain Tonz. And how did that come around? Was it Tonz? It's how you spell it. It's not.
Yeah, that's how you spell it. Well, it's a funny story. If you want me to tell it to you, it's a funny story.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let's make people laugh.
Innit?
So, I was in the Philippines and I was running a pirate base, and I just set up there, and I was invited here, there, and everywhere, and the local people would call me Tony Gomez.
Tony Gomez,
because they couldn't say they couldn't say Cummins. Cummins became Gomez.
Yeah.
And this was so bad. It was so heavy. I disliked it so much.
Yeah.
That we had to think about it, and we changed it to Tonz.
Yeah.
And they loved it, and so it went from there. And suddenly, all through the South China Sea, I was known as Tonz. So it worked.
That's a lovely little one, Captain Tonz, because they couldn't pronounce Cummins. Well, the Filipino accent, I don't know how. Yeah, I can see why they would go with Gomez. You talk a bit about the sea telling and protecting you. Like you said, you kind of felt this magnetic pull. You pulled your way through that wave. How did you were 17 and you've gone to everyone on board? I've got this, and they just let you take the reins, and then you just let some exterior force pull you through. What did you feel in that moment? How did you get through unscathed? What did you do?
Well, when I said I've got this, obviously they didn't believe it. And so this big Swedish seaman came next to me. I was at the wheel and wanted to push me off the wheel. And I just kicked him out of the way. I said, I've got this. And I knew something suddenly from somewhere had told me, you've got this. And I had it. And I knew everything was going to be exactly. I knew. Don't ask me how I knew, but I was connected. I could feel the sea. I could feel everything. I knew exactly. And that's the moment that I became a pirate, I think.
Yeah. But so if you've got a rogue wave coming straight towards you, what's the orientation of the ship? Is it straight on? Or is it sideways?
The shape of the wave is changing all the time. And when I said it was 5 waves away, right, that means it was something like 20 seconds away.
Right.
You know, it took 20 seconds for the first 3 or 4 waves to come before that came. And all the time, it's changing shape and force. So all the time, you're working in minimals of 5 to 8 degrees. It couldn't have been done any better. And of course, everyone was shocked. But what they didn't know was afterwards, like an hour or 2, 3 hours later, when I'm lying in my bunk, I was really shocked. I started questioning, how did I do that? You know?
Some divine power.
And that's when I became a pilot.
It's like you're almost in a way kind of like a surfer, and instead of being on your board, you're on a ship and you're surfing that wave, right?
Well, it's funny you should say that, you know, because one of the stories in the podcast is about, I took a barge, a Humber barge. They make them now, or they made them all into houseboats on the Thames and everywhere. It's a barge, goes on a river. Well, I took a famous voyage. I took a barge from Hull all the way to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I listened to that story.
Yeah, and on the way we went past Portugal with the northerlies, and it's famous at that time of the year, big northerly waves that go rolling down past Portugal. So I managed to catch one of these waves, and I surfed the barge all the way down, the coast of Portugal.
That's
exactly
mental.
Like you said.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But you've not had any formal training as a sailor. You just picked it up as you've been going along, pretty much.
Well, I had, from the age of 17, I had a master pirate standing next to me 12 hours a day, 6 hours on, 6 hours off, him and me on the bridge. And I wanted to learn everything, and he wanted to teach me everything. So that's the start. Secondly, I was sent to an academy in Holland, where I came second in the class there. But that doesn't make you a pirate. That just gives you a bit of leeway when you're talking to insurance companies.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine having a one-on-one tutor with a master pirate is probably way better than spending a bunch of years over at Warsash Maritime Academy, down in Southampton. Going into uncharted waters is a big part of pirating. Escapes and adventures, that's something that you've got in spades. You've got tons of these stories. We'll never get through them all this evening. But what has been the strangest cargo that you've ever transported, legal or otherwise? Yeah, what's been some of the strangest things you've had to transport?
Well, the most strange thing when you tell people is camels. I smuggled camels from Somalia to Saudi Arabia, and I did it twice. And on the second trip, I inquired as to what the record was. And the record was something like 390 or something, nearly 400.
Wow.
So I said, right, well, I don't like doing things twice, Sam. I like doing things once and then moving on. But I had no choice. I had to do this twice for a sheikh. And he was paying me. So in those days, you have to remember that it's nearly the 80s, and a camel in Saudi Arabia was worth 2,000 quid.
Yeah. So,
we're talking serious money. And I managed to get 472 camels on this ship. That's, that's nearly £1 million in those days. A lot of money.
And you broke the record for the most camels transported. Are you still on top of the record for it these days? Someone overtaken?
I don't know. All I know is the record at the time, whether it's been broken or not, I really don't care.
Okay. So if there was someone who did 500 camels, you wouldn't be tempted to go and try and beat that record?
No. Good luck to him.
Good luck to him. But yeah, so some of these questions, some of these answers to the stories, people might kind of go, "Oh, that's highly illegal." But yeah, as you said, this was beginning of the 80s. It was a different time. You've been in prison for you've served time in prisons all around the world, which we'll get to. One of the other things I wanted to flag up, that you claimed to have outwitted the Royal Navy, the British Royal Navy. So without incriminating yourself, how did you pull that off?
Well, my vessel was arrested in Gibraltar.
Right.
And when they arrest the vessel, you're automatically arrested as well. You know, they come along and they put chains, big chains. And so, you know, it's like a dead vessel.
Yeah.
We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't escape because we had no fuel. We'd gone to Gibraltar for fuel, and they knew that. So stopping us from refueling, you know, the chains or no chains, we couldn't go anywhere. So we made a plan, and we stole 11 tons of fuel oil from Majesty's Royal Navy depot and fueled up. And then we spent 3 days with little hacksaw blades cutting through the chains until there was just a little tiny bit of metal left. And then when the time was right, we hit the chains free, out we go, and we escaped.
What you can do with a junior hacksaw,
We escaped. Yeah. You know, it was just a hacksaw blade with a bit of cloth around the end, so nobody could see what you were doing, you know. And slowly, you're sitting there having a fag, but slowly, you'll cut every day, cutting it hour by hour, until it's just a tiny little bit left. And then you make it dirty, you know, with some oil and stuff, so no one can see it because they're watching you all the time.
Yeah.
And then when the moment comes, you hit that with a big hammer.
Yeah.
And it just falls away, the chain, and you're free. And with 11 tons of fuel oil, we did a runner. And there were 2 Royal Navy ships, and the pilot boat were ordered to arrest us. And the frigate that patrols the Straits of Gibraltar was ordered to turn around and arrest us. But, you know, it takes like 7 minutes to turn a frigate around, and by which time we're already moving. And Hare and the tortoise, if you like, and we got away. We got all the way to Manila, Spain, Morocco.
Manila in Morocco, Manila in Philippines.
Melilla.
Oh, sorry.
Not Manila, Melilla.
Okay, fair enough. And so, what size vessel were you captaining at this time?
It was a humber barge.
Oh, it was a humber barge. Wow.
Top speed 9.5 knots.
Jesus Christ. What's the smallest vessel you've captained, and what's the largest?
The largest with the Sheikh's freighter was 7,800 tons.
Yeah.
The smallest was perhaps a motor yacht, about 42 feet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, big difference. Have you ever come close to losing any of your ships?
No.
Never. And well, actually, that's if it's a straight up no, it's made even more impressive by knowing the duration of your career as a pirate, active years spent on the ocean. So how long has that been? I didn't even ask you that.
60 plus years.
Wow.
65.
65 years and not a single incident.
I did have I had an incident, but I wasn't the captain. I was morally in charge of the ship, but we had this captain who had taken over temporarily for a couple of weeks while our captain was away for something. And we came out of Gothenburg, Sweden, and we hit the rocks at a place called Vinga. A bloody great big hole in the ship. We sunk, but it wasn't deep enough at that place to sink properly. It sat on the bottom. So we managed to salvage the ship. That was the only time. And
you weren't in control, so you can hold your hands up and say, it weren't my fault.
Well, actually, I made the damage minimal. You know, it could have been a lot worse. Anyway, that's the only time.
That's the only time in 60 odd plus years. That's well. Credit to you. Obviously, that master captain that you spent every day with, he taught you well.
Yeah.
So you were dead in the water in Gibraltar. Have you ever been dead in the water out at sea?
I have, yeah, a couple of times, but you manage to get you manage to get moving. You manage to rig a sail up or something. You only need to get a leeway of a couple of knots, and you can get out of problems.
Have you had any incidents where you're on like a boat or something, stranded in the sea, supplies are running thin, and there's just, options are limited?
We were going Malta to Port Said, and we got hit by a hurricane. And I had to give out a pan call for assistance. And I was assisted by a big super tanker. And he stood by me for 45 minutes while we repaired damage on the ship and set off through this hurricane. We had nothing to eat or drink. So we had these cases of oranges. And we just kept picking up oranges, breaking them. And that was it, for 33 hours.
33
surviving
hours
on oranges.
Well, that's a surefire way to keep scurvy at bay, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what they were there for. Did you ever give yourselves up and like deliberately get caught as part of like a bigger plan?
Well, I was the decoy in East Germany when it was East Germany. And we were involved in getting this East German guy out by smuggling him onto the ship. And I was the decoy. I thought it'd be fun. It wasn't fun. And so everyone's looking at me while behind them, the guy's getting smuggled onto the ship.
So you got arrested and detained where? In East Germany?
Yeah, in an East German jail, yeah. They strip you, first thing they do is they strip you naked. And they got a guard in there with an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
And if you get up and protest, it goes click, click, the safety comes off.
Oh, God.
And you sit down again.
Yeah. Oh, God. And you were detained for how long before they realised you were a decoy?
Ooh, about 3 hours.
Oh, so pretty quick turnover.
Well, it didn't take long to get the guy on the ship.
So they caught up to him. They got the guy that you were trying to.
No. We got him away. We got him away. We did it about 3 or 4 times in those days, getting people smuggled out of East Germany and Poland, and it was like people smuggling in reverse.
Yeah, but so with smuggling things like camels and people, do you ask questions, or are the details things that you don't concern yourself with, and then you have sort of that kind of ignorance is bliss kind of immunity?
Oh no, you've got to take it extremely seriously. It's got to be planned, every tiny little detail. Everything that could go wrong has to be studied first. I mean, it's easy to talk about 470 camels, but the thing is that they're all penned in their family groups, husband with his 10 females and so on, and they're very angry animals. So if they start to fight, they could all move to one side of the ship and you could lose the ship.
But so like you're smuggling them from one place to another. The question being of moral relativity, like in the case of the East German guy that you were smuggling away, do you know why you're smuggling him away? It's one person. You've got to go on a decoy mission that kind of, confuses them. But do you know why he's being smuggled out?
I know one of them was a tennis player. That's all I do know. But you don't know. You're not interested. We used to smuggle people out of the UK. Everybody's talking about people smuggling, but everyone's watching the boats that are coming in from France or Belgium or wherever. No one is looking at boats that are going out of the UK. So, we had a period where we were making a lot of money smuggling people out of the UK.
It's not often the way you hear about it, is it? People coming in.
No.
Not long. I mean, to be fair, the way things are going now, Tony, I wouldn't mind getting smuggled out myself. You don't actually live in the UK. You're based over in Italy, right?
Yeah, I'm here in between, in a little village between Verona and Mantova, and it's very cool, very nice, and we've got an airport down the road, so it's an hour flight to London, and I'm often in London whenever I need.
Oh, well, next time you're down, we'll have a pint in one of the locals. You said it's very
Right.
cool. You said it's very cool, very nice where you are, but at the moment you've got a bit of a heat wave going on.
We have, yeah, we've been in the 40s for some time and it's becoming boring.
Yeah, I can imagine. Can't do anything except complain about it. Going into storms and close calls or, unexplainables, has there been anything at sea that you've seen that you just couldn't explain? Like a phenomenon, an abnormality, like, I don't know, the aurora borealis with like an extra added appendage. I don't know.
Oh, there's always something strange.
Mm.
You're going to see something strange virtually every day. One, because pirates are normally traveling in areas of the sea that nobody goes through. So, it's not a common route. So there's not a lot of ships traveling here. Or it could be a natural phenomenon, like you say, it could be a whirlpool. It could be anything, including UFOs.
So where do you stand on UFOs? Are you a believer? Have you seen a few of them out there?
I think most mariners will tell you that they've seen enough of them.
Yeah. How have you been keeping a tally?
Not a tally, but I remember each one I saw.
How would you describe these UFOs?
Well, there are three different kinds. There's the big, enormous kind, which is like, if you like, the shape of a zeppelin, but it's invisible. So you can't see it, but you can see it by when it passes the stars or certain weather conditions. You can see the stars going out and then coming on again. So as it passes, you get an idea of its shape.
Wow.
Then you got the spheres, which are just like balls, and they're generally silver. And then you got the classical flying saucer style.
ET's whip.
Yeah.
Amazing. That sounds
anyway,
very.
We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, that's not deck tales. That's UFO conspiracy stories. But it answers the question of you're going to see some stuff. It's going to be out at sea. It's the great unknown. It's where you would do test. There's so much stuff that goes on at sea that doesn't get explained or that doesn't get heard about, which is another one of the reasons why deck tales and podcasts like deck tales exist, to hear more of these stories. Have you yourself ever had a moment, Tony, where you thought, this is it, my number's up, I'm done for, and then you've somehow miraculously, by the grace of God, gotten out of it?
Many, but you don't say that. You say like, oh shit, what am I going to do now for about 3 seconds, because it's a shock and then it's hit you out of the blue. So that's a human trait to WTH is this, but if it takes longer than 3 or 5 seconds for you to understand what's happened, then you are in a problem. So if you within 4 or 5 seconds can determine what it is and how to get out, then you'll get out.
Yeah. It's like the 5-second rule with food. You shouldn't eat it after 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it's really bad. When you've been arrested in the past in different countries, which has been the worst incarceration and which one has been most surprisingly hospitable?
Well, I just told you the one in East Germany. That was really heavy.
That was the worst one?
That was it. Yeah, that's by far the worst one.
It's only 3 hours.
You really... Yeah, but the guy's holding an automatic weapon and he wants to use it. So that 3 hours gets longer and longer and longer. And that was psychologically the worst. Plus you're naked.
Yep. Doesn't help.
Yeah, that's the worst. The best was in San Francisco, where, I was checking into TWA. In those days, it was TWA, flight to Milan. And I was complaining at the desk, how come you check in my luggage and you didn't check the 3 Arabs that just got on, is what I said to the American guy. Next minute, I was arrested. He said, he called the law over. I was arrested. I was picked up. I was marched across the airport in front of everybody. It was funny because the police chief guy said, we can rip your ticket up into 2,000 pieces and you ain't getting on the plane. And I said to him, "You only tear it up once, mate." And he got really angry. Got my passport and my driving license fell out. And he opened it and it said, Captain Anthony Cummins. And he said to me, "Is that Marine?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Sorry, sir, but there's been a terrible mistake. And we would like to show you around the airport."
So then you got fed artisanal wine, cheese, grapes, the whole lot, and putting up in nice accommodation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a change of events. What's the fastest you've ever had to get out of Dodge? You've had to leave a port, like just no questions, just need to jump on board and skedaddle.
Well, probably the Gibraltar one, because had we stayed, had we been caught, had we been apprehended, I really think that they were so ready to throw the book at us. The problem with piracy is the piracy laws are from 1670 and 1710, and they don't apply. And so they have great difficulty in charging you with something. So they try and find little small misdemeanors, like, this vessel shouldn't be in the Atlantic. It's against the Board of Trade regulations. So they arrest you for nothing. And so time is money. We have to escape. And knowing that we've taken 11 tons of Her Majesty's fuel oil, and the minesweeper that had to turn around to chase us hit his bow on the port and did a load of damage, plus my threats to their pilot boat, plus the fact I got away, that had to be wiped. So if you go onto the records of Gibraltar, right, and you go into the archives, they've got records in the port of everything that came in and everything that went out since 1710. The 10 days I was there, the records are missing. How about that?
How funny. And you said it was like you said it was like a tortoise and the hare situation, but of course in this situation you're the hare. No, you're the tortoise because you're the smaller of the two animals, but you're the faster because you're on the sea. So it's sort of like a reversal of the fable. But so there was no repercussions. Like, it's not like you got a number plate license and they can take your details down and say that's the number we need to look up. There has to be something like an identifier at sea when they see the Humber barge going past. It's like, there, get his details so we can track him down. But you're like, no, I'm in international waters. I'm a pirate.
No, well, you're in international waters, but you're also in hidden waters. You're creeping along in places that no one's going to look for you. So you might be seeming to take a strange course, but that course is because you don't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm. The path less traveled. And there's such a thing as a pirate code. Is it rules set in stone? Or is it different all over the place? What's some of the top ranking rules of the pirate code?
Well, the pirate code is based mainly on equality. Everybody is equal. Everybody gets one share. Everybody gets one vote. Everybody is totally equal. And in many cases, the captain and the bosun and the doctor got half a share extra.
Okay.
Otherwise, that was the number one rule. So automatically, everyone feels equal.
Yeah.
And that equality builds, and the crew become one, and quite honestly, quite invincible. So the number one rule in the pirate code is equality.
Mm-hmm. What's some of the other rules in the pirate code? If number one is equality, what's 2 and 3?
Well, they varied, and you've got no gambling. You've got equal rights as much as you can have gay marriage. You've got women's rights that women, but everything follows equality, because when you've got that equality, some people say, how can the man who's working sales on top of the mast be equal to the cabin boy who's cleaning out the slops? It's obviously unequal. Well, they fix that problem by once a month, the guy on the top of the sails did the job of the cabin boy with the slops.
So yeah, it's rotational.
He hated doing it.
Yeah.
But because he did it, he then gained respect for the cabin boy and the slops. So they worked this equality in to everything they did.
I watched a bit of that interview you did. And one of the things I heard you saying about was, well, you just mentioned it there briefly about gay marriage. So some of these things that were happening out at sea, which were openly accepted and almost championed out at sea, you're less pirates and you're more hippies.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, but the problem we've got here, Sam, is like if we now turn to your listeners and we ask them a question, let's bring them in to this talk, and say to them, what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes for 8 seconds and imagine you're looking through a telescope at 3 pirates on a pirate ship, and you focus in on them and keep that image in your mind. Now open your eyes, and I would like you to put your hands up, all of those who imagined at least one of the pirates with an eye patch.
Well, I mean, I had one on at the very beginning of this recording with the filter.
Exactly.
That's how Zoom pictured it. So yeah, that was another question I had for you. So like, what are some of the stereotypes of pirates that really get your back up? Is it things like peg legs and having a parrot?
They're comedy, aren't they? They're just comedy pantomime. Perhaps what does get you sometimes a little bit, is speak like a pirate, like Robert Newton, like "ar, ar, ar." Well, we don't talk like that. We talk normally.
It's hardly Cockney rhyming.
I suppose, not really.
It's not like developing a new language so that you can have discussions.
No, but it's part of the myth. It's part of the myth. Everyone says, "Oh, pirates were bad," right? I mean, everyone says that. It's wrong. We weren't bad, but everyone thinks that way. Isn't it funny then that Lego make little pirates for the kids to play with?
Yeah.
Or they speak like a pirate day. Yeah. Or there's pirate festivals. How could the pirates be celebrated in all these different ways if they were so bad?
Yeah.
You don't get romantic for the devil.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think one of my earliest toys I had as a kid was a Playmobil pirate ship. I fucking loved that thing.
Great. Well, this is good because it keeps the pirates alive in their legend alive in the minds of the little kids. It's good for that.
And there was a video game I used to play growing up. It's still going to this day. They just
Pirate Island.
No, it wasn't that one. It was a game developed by George Lucas's video game arm called Monkey Island. And
Monkey Island, yeah, I remember, yeah.
And so you played a particularly weak and feeble pirate called Guybrush Threepwood, but he was good with his words and he had some charm and he was comedic. But yeah, I love those games because they are just that wonderful sense of adventure. In fact, when I was writing my second book that hasn't been published yet, a lot of the time when I was in my writing groove, I would have the music to Monkey Island playing in the background just to kind of guide me through my retellings of adventures, but to keep the mood light, especially when tackling darker subjects. And it really helped because foreshadowing, that book is called You Cruise, You Lose, and there is some dark subject matter out there. We've talked a bit about some of it with some of the other guests on cruise ships, but now we're in season 3 of Deck Tales. We've opened the doors to other people from all different, walks of life, all different types of ships. So long may it continue. And you're the first pirate to come on. Who knows? You might open the doors for more pirates to come forward one day and tell their stories as well. That's the hope.
I hope you do. I do have one message for your listeners, because you are basically representing the cruise industry.
Well, not exclusively, but yeah, most of the people.
Not exclusively, but you're part of it in a way.
That's
your experience.
Yes, that's right.
And a lot of your audience. So I do have a message from the sea to your audience on cruise ships. The average cruise ship, there's about 4,000 people on it. But right now in the world, there are just over 1 million people on cruise ships going somewhere on the sea. They all take 1.7 showers a day. So that's 1.7 million showers using basically shower gel, which goes down, eventually ends up in the sea.
Yeah.
And people talk about waste and effluent, which is really a smaller problem because it's already washed away from the toilets in salt water. Whereas the shower gel is washed into sweet water, which goes into the sea and kills the microbes that live just under the surface that produce the oxygen that we breathe. The damage that is being done is so extreme and unseen that if all the people were to use an eco-friendly gel or soap or something biologically better, they could really save damaging the sea. Thanks very much for letting me have this message.
That's a lovely message to impart. Do you know of any companies that produce such a solution?
There are, but unfortunately they cost more. They don't have the names like Dior or whatever it is.
Small price to pay for the continued survival of the ocean and all of its inhabitants.
Yeah.
And I had to put that in there.
Exactly.
I had to put that in there when you said I'm an advocate for the cruise industry. I'm not. I used to work in it back in 2006 to 2010. And I've had my time. I've had my fun. I've had a few experiences. But I know there's many people out there who haven't got out of it, or they've got out of it and they want to share their stories. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not all, we had a lovely time at the cheese fondue buffet. So there's some dark stuff to it as well. And as you were rightly saying just now about the pollution stats and things of that nature, it is a lovely way to travel, but it is one of the worst ways to travel in terms of its footprint. So, yeah.
Well, the situation on the sea, apart from cruise ships, is great danger for everybody because, you've got ships that are traveling. There's nobody looking out. You've got ships hitting other ships, like the one recently off Spurn Head. This is because who are driving these ships, the officers and men who are driving these ships, are depending 100% on pressing a little button, and the little button will tell you what course to take, and everything's done by a little button. Nobody has actually got eyes looking on the sea, seeing what's happening. And that is because they are being drawn away from the nature of navigation into an AI-driven situation where they no longer even know anything about the sea at all. Mm-hmm. So when one day all this collapses and there's no satellite, no GPS and everything, all these people will be lost. They wouldn't even know where they're going or coming from.
Very true. And I know this is probably going to come across like a stupid question, but do you know other pirates? Like, is there like a community? Do you have like a Christmas get-together, like a Christmas party annual?
There are some pirates who have a get-together, and it's usually on the 13th of October, which is if it's a Friday.
Friday the 13th.
The pirate flag and the modern-day pirates were born on the 13th of October, 1307. Yeah. And that was born at La Rochelle, France, and it's celebrated every Friday the 13th of October, if it's a Friday. There are other groups. There's the Yemeni group, the Red Sea group, the Chinese, Taiwanese, Filipino, Sulu, all kinds of pirates. They've all got different groups, but they all got different reasons for being.
Yeah, as you say.
They are pirates for different reasons. And I had the opportunity of setting up a pirate base and bringing these guys together. So it was extremely interesting to see their different viewpoints.
I would love to see something like that, but I guess it would be quite hard to organise a get-together of pirates, especially if they're wanted criminals.
Wanted criminals, perhaps you're referring to like the Nigerian pirates. Malacca maybe.
Malacca?
Yeah. Malacca maybe, but you can't even call the Somali pirates criminals.
No, yeah, they're pirating out of desperation because they've had their fishing industry ravaged by the trawling industry.
That's what they tell you. That's what they want you to believe.
That's what we've been told. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been told. That's what I've found.
I've worked with these guys. I've actually been with them, spoken with them, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They became what they are known to be today because of a series of events that includes the Italian government, the mafia, Swiss toxic waste, and dead journalists, and all kinds of other things connected, things that come together and caused children of the fishermen to lose their fingers because of toxic waste washed up onto the beach. The fishermen got pissed off and said, we're going to do something about this. And they went and captured a Hong Kong-bound ship, and they put a price on that of $50,000, which was $2,000 for each family as reparations for losing the children's fingers.
Right.
So if that is true, which I know it is, then were they really not entitled to do something?
It's the hostage exchange market. There's people that work in negotiation for hostages here in London for the Somali pirates, people they capture, and there's a lot of money.
Right, so I took part in that. So I know, Sam, millions. I took part in that. I even consulted for UNIFOR, which is the United Naval Force. In Northwood. I know everything, every aspect of it. But what I'm trying to say is that these fishermen, they did this and they got their money for the medicines for their children. And Somalia is cut up into different zones of warlords. And the warlords saw this. So they took the pirates and they said, right, from now on, we're working for you. And pirates, they said, no, we don't want to work. We've got our money. And they said, no, right, we take the family. If you don't work for us, then say goodbye to your family. And so they were forced back out to sea and creating this phenomenon known as Somali pirates.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you've probably got insights into almost all the different types of different pirates and how justified or not they are to their claim of being a pirate. Are there some that are more justified? Yeah. Are there some that you would say more justified than others? Like would you say that Somali pirates are the most justified pirates, or is there one above them? And who are the least? You said like the Malacca and the Nigerian?
Malacca possibly the least because it's pure business. The higher than the Somali pirates would be the Sulu pirates. The Sulu pirates down in the Celebes Sea in Sulu Seas between the Philippines and Borneo, to put it roughly. And they look after the sea. They're of the sea. They live on the sea. They've got islands where they live, but they don't build houses on the islands. They build structures out into the sea because they want to be always 24 hours a day on the sea somehow. These guys came to us. We had a big meeting.
The Sulu pirates?
Because they operate basically canoe vessels, long, slim vessels, which were good for some things and not good for others. And there was an Indonesian tanker that was washing its tanks and spilling oil every month in the Celebes Sea. And they were really pissed off about this. Yeah. So they came to us for help. So we organized Taiwanese, Filipino, and Sulu, and European. We went out and we attacked the tanker. We took everything away from them, everything. all their gold necklaces, their rings, their money in the safe, their beer, their liquor, every single thing that we could take away, we took away, and told them that if they ever did that again to the sea, then that we would take away the ship. And they never did it again.
So you would say, rather than being looked at as a rebel of the sea, you would prefer to think of yourself as a guardian, or has that kind of changed over the years?
No, the pirates are all guardians of the sea. The sea is our mother, okay? When you get a litre of seawater, what you're looking at is 3 billion microbes in there, all alive, all doing little microbe jobs. And that is the sea. And that is our mother. And it has to be protected. And the Sulu pirates, they are extremely the most ecologically minded people on the planet.
Do you think I could be a pirate?
Anyone can be a pirate.
But me specifically, do you think I got the right constitution?
I don't know. I'd have to do. Oh, it's simple. I could tell you in an hour.
Yeah.
I'll take you to Ramsgate, put you on a fishing boat. We go out for an hour. An hour later, I'll tell you yes or no.
Well, that would make for some good content. I'll be up for that if you are. I'll tell you what, I haven't been at sea in a while. What was the last time I was at sea? I mean, you couldn't even count it as an experience. I just nipped on the Woolwich ferry, and that takes 2 minutes.
Right. It wasn't really sea, was it?
No, not even. And then actually, more recently than that, I was on this. Do you know the Horrible Histories franchise? The books, the Horrible Histories. They've got a thing called the Terrible Thames Tour, and I went on that with the girlfriend the other week. And you literally just go down the Thames and come back, and they kind of point to things and they tell stories, pirate related or otherwise. But yeah, it's been a while since I've properly been at sea, so I'd be happy to get on a fishing boat with you. What would you say are some of the qualities, if I can probe and do a bit of research before this experience with yourself, to making a good pirate? What would be something you'd look out for?
Well, not long ago, I came up with a program for, specifically at the start, Manchester Mental Health. And it kind of spread out, and I tried to get this out to mental health officials in the government, whoever, that by taking Down syndrome and autistic teenagers onto a boat into the North Sea, and there was a specific program because I believed, although they may be under mental health, at sea, they are much more advanced than anybody because they have the ability to connect to the sea. And that is what it's all about. If you can connect to the sea, you can be a pirate, you can be a captain, you can be anything you want. And no fear, you have no fear because you're connected. And for some strange reason, I believe it's weird, but Down syndrome teenagers and autistic teenagers have this ability in them. So the program took 5 of these mental health teenagers to sea, where there was a crew of 3 on the fishing boat, and then the fishing boat, all programmed, breaks down. So there's an emergency. So each one of these 5 guys are given a task. One's got to hold a rope, one's got to hold the wheel, one's got to do this, one's got to do that, while they fix it. This task is done in such a way that it brings them together, unites them, each little tiny task. They're only pretending tasks. You know, a rope goes out into the sea, hold on to it, and stuff like that. But that it was enough to bond them.
Yeah. And
then together, bonded, they bond with the sea. So then you fix the engine, you come back in, you've been out there for an hour. It's a 1 hour operation. And when they come back, each of the 5 of them go to their various homes and places, a completely and utterly different person. They've now got self-esteem. They've now got an experience of you. They've got something that there's no doctors or systems the national health can offer you to get better than that. Only because inside of them, some weird freak of nature, they have this ability to bond with the sea. Isn't that funny?
That's amazing. Hey, I don't know if this just came to my mind, but you said it because when you said it was like a planned failure, like it's, you know, it's all for show. Have you ever seen the TV show? Oh, it's a cartoon TV show called Rick and Morty.
I've seen bits of it, you know, but I can't really remember it.
There was one episode where Jerry takes his wife Beth on a recreation of the sinking of the Titanic experience, right? So it's all kind of like nice at the beginning. It's all nice at the beginning, and it's planned and expected that in this controlled simulation the ship is going to sink. But there's a malfunction, and the plan doesn't go to plan, and the ship doesn't sink. So there's this panic. It's like, no, the ship isn't sinking. It's very good. I love that show.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
These are hypotheticals, shall we say, these questions. Bit of fun. So if, Tony, you could replace or recruit your dream crew for a mission, doesn't matter what the mission is, with a bunch of celebrities or people of note from history, who's on board? Who would you select?
Well, number one is Johnny Depp, isn't it? Because he plays Captain Jack Sparrow so well.
Yeah.
That I think inside of him is a bit of pirate.
Definitely. Yeah.
And if he came on board, I could teach him stuff, and I could make him a better pirate, and then he could then tell people we're not all bad.
And you've got a book coming out, or is it already out? Your book?
Oh, I've got a book out that I wrote in 2011, which is kind of predicts what's going to happen in the world as far as a pirate can see. But because that was before I came out as a pirate, so I hid myself behind a kind of fairy story. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
The book's on Amazon. It's called The 13th Day, if anyone wants to buy it, by Anthony Cummins. But that's really nothing to do with my story, really. It's a prediction, and that's all.
Who else would you have alongside Johnny Depp?
I would have somebody like Stephen Fry, because of his complete intellect, and I feel is also very pirate inside.
Yeah, so that's a good mix. Stephen Fry and Johnny Depp. You'd be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that sense, in the actual sailing of the ship, if these guys are just taking notes. If Johnny was to do another pirate film, he could be essentially shadowing you to get into the character more of the pirate he's portraying. But if they was to make a movie of your life, would you have Johnny Depp playing you, or would you choose someone else?
Well, I have a contract with Depp Pictures with my life story.
Right.
It's a book of my entire life, and they have the contract to make a film. They are particularly interested in the voyage of the Sperm Beach from Hull to Jeddah, which is the main starring part of the film. And this is what they are now preparing to present. And the podcast that they produced recently is part of that program they have of doing that. Yeah. And as far as somebody playing me, they did suggest Mark, what's his name from Vanderbilt?
Mark Warren.
Yeah, Mark Warren. And I thought that was a really good choice.
He is a good choice. He's a very good choice. And so is that underway? Is that greenlit?
Well, you know, these film companies, the stuff that take you and me 5 minutes take them 5 months. So and they're very secretive, and nobody tells anybody anything. And so you just go along with it. That's all I'm doing.
Well, in that case, this is the beating of the drums to try and get more movement behind it. Let's get on Mark Warren, everybody.
Funny.
Poke him and give him a shout out. Say hurry up and say yes to doing this film.
Yeah.
And
it's funny you say it because quite honestly, Sam, let me tell you your program here. I'm guesting it for the very first time to a UK audience. I've been guests on podcasts in America, in Australia, in Holland, everywhere. But this is the very first time. I've guested on a podcast in the UK, which is where I come from. So you know, use that. You know, this is the first time ever a pirate on a podcast in the UK.
But you're not in the UK. You're in Italy.
A pirate from the UK. But this is the first time I've been a guest on something like this.
Okay.
Ever.
Well, we shall tag Mark Warren in and see if he can't hurry things along with production.
Yeah.
And if there's any other roles going, I don't have an agent. Just cut straight to me. We'll cut out the middleman. I don't need to pay off any agency fees that way. Silly.
Well, I can assure you that they know already I'm doing this, and they will be given a copy of the podcast. So you know,
more than definitely. What I want to do is ask you some very silly questions. Again, we're sticking with the theme of hypotheticals, but it's all for the fun. Would you rather fight one giant mammoth kraken or 100 angry, hungry seagulls?
I went on a search for a giant kraken once.
Oh my God.
Because there was a legend. There's a legend. The Philippines and the South China Sea are full of legends.
Yeah.
And there was a legend that there was a giant kraken guarding a giant pearl by this underwater cave. So I went there with divers. We had a look. So that shows you there's no fear of this animal. As far as seagulls are concerned, you choose one, you see a seagull, especially a lone seagull. But anyway, a flock of seagulls, you look and you choose one, and it'll come to you which one, and you concentrate on him, and you tell him to come to you, and he will. So really, just speak to them, just be part of them. Don't fight anything, because you're going to lose.
Yeah, well, it'll be a lot harder to, I guess, connect with a giant kraken if he's 6 foot or 6 stories tall. But you're not only connected to the sea, but you're also connected to the birds as well. You're like Aquaman and Dr. Dolittle rolled into one.
You have to connect to every single creature in the sea, all the creatures that depend on the sea. And the seagull is one of these. It's called a seagull for a reason, you know. So they understand the sea. The animals in the sea understand the sea. All you got to do is understand with them, and you can do all kinds of magic stuff. I was responsible. People blow their trumpets, don't they? You know, like save the world, save this, save the dolphin, save the turtle, and donate to our page. Well, we don't ask for any donations. We just get on and do it. And I was instrumental. In fact, I was the instigator of stopping dynamite fishing from the Philippines all the way down to Papua New Guinea. And I stopped this practice because when an explosion takes place underwater, it travels 7 times faster than in the air, and it deafens dolphins and damages turtles. And one day this happened, and a turtle got too near, and it had a cracked shell, and it swam straight to me. I got in the water. One of the fish I'd caught, it tore it apart and pulled out some innards and came to me and put it in my hand. I then offered this to the turtle, and the turtle just became so calm and tranquilo. And we stayed together, all 3 of us, for half an hour until the turtle had regained strength and could carry on to lay her eggs wherever she had to. So it's a situation that bonds you together regardless of what you are, who you are, whether you can talk or squawk or whatever. You're mental ability through the sea to connect all together and deal with something is incredibly simple that people who play on their iPhones could never ever understand.
That's amazing. I tell you what, Anthony, that's probably the movie poster right there.
Yeah, well, I did write a poem about the event because it was so incredible. After the event, I would go out fishing. I had a little boat of my own, and I would go out fishing, and the girl would always follow me.
Oh, wow.
So we were always together.
Is the poem somewhere where you can link as well, or is that just in your head?
Yeah, the poem's on my website. I'll send you a link because I don't know how to send it right now here.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's CaptainTonz.com, right?
Yeah,
CaptainTonz.com, and the poem's called "The Turtle's Birthday" because she was carrying the eggs. It was her birthday, wasn't it?
Well, he had his cracked shells, so he was almost in his birthday suit.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's lovely. I'll look forward to reading that once we're a bit later on. If you were able to go back and steal anything from history, what would it be?
Knowledge. It would be probably the chest of Solomon.
Ooh.
You know, King Solomon. Well, the Templars nicked the chest out of the stables and run off and became the Templars, and they became the largest bankers and ship owners and everything else in the entire world for hundreds of years. And they organized the Crusades backwards and forwards, and they didn't have any ships because they're all knights. They got horses. So they had to hire the ships from the pirates. So the pirates and the Templars set up together this fratellanza, they call it, a brotherhood. And it was really big business because ships were leaving from Greece and Italy and places for the Holy Land, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. There's only so many knights and horses you can get on a ship, and these were just convoys of ships going backwards and forwards. So this brotherhood or relationship for extremely long time, hundreds and hundreds of years, because of the 5 different crusades, became a real brotherhood. So when you see a Templar ship like they show you in the films and books, and it's got a big red cross and a white sail, and there it goes, well, there might be 1 or 2 Templars on it, but the ship was actually a pirate ship. The captain was a pirate, the crew were pirates, and they were contracted to the Templars
to escort them across.
Yeah.
So what was in the Book of Solomon that essentially, well, you don't know, that's why you want to try and steal it.
I've got a good idea, but yeah. You see, the Templars, they got the Book of Solomon. The Pope, Clement, his cousin, the King of France, Philip le Bel, they wanted to get that. They needed that. So they raided the refractory in Paris to steal it. But the Templars were too clever, and their spies have told them this is going to happen. So the night before, they all escaped with the treasure, with the Solomon's chest, and they all sailed away, and they all got together with, because they've now been outlawed, with Templars coming from all different directions, from the North Sea, from Spain, or wherever. And they joined forces at a place called La Rochelle in France. The king came there, and they told him, go like that. And how they told him...
That was for the audio listeners only. They gave him the finger.
They gave him the finger.
Yeah.
The finger was actually somebody had cleverly made a flag with a skull and 2 crossbones on it. And they raised that up by way of giving the finger to the king. And it was a flag of freedom. It wasn't a pirate flag, let's go and kill people and nick their stuff. No, it was a flag of saying freedom. We don't want anything to do with you. We're on our bike.
Yeah, we're operating independently.
Yeah. And that was the first time the flag was raised.
The first time that the pirate flag, the skull and crossbones that we know today.
Yeah, it's the first time it was raised. Amazing. It was a Friday, which is unlucky for some. Yep. It was the 13th of October, 1307. And that's why we always that's a special day.
Yeah. As you referenced earlier, when you are far from land and you're out at sea, how do you tell the difference between freedom, as you just described, and loneliness?
As soon as you've let go of the ropes of the boat, freedom kicks in. So, you don't have to go far. And loneliness, well, you're surrounded by trillions and trillions of creatures in the sea, above you, everywhere you look. How can you be lonely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you give that seagull a name? He followed you around for a while.
Yeah, I called him Seagull.
Very, very creative.
It's amazing what you can do with a seagull, Once you've connected, it's really amazing what you can do with a seagull. They are very clever.
Well, can you give us an example?
I used to give a prize in the Philippines to a Filipino boat race with a little sail. And every week there was a different course to be done. So I would go out on my sailboat and do the course, right, to see how long it takes and, study it a bit before we published it. I went out on one of these and a giant manta ray came up from underneath my boat, thinking I was a manta ray or something, and threw me up in the air, and I ended up upside down. So I was shipwrecked in a certain sense. So the seagull came and started squawking, and I said, do me a favor, go back to my base and tell them I've got a problem, I'm here. The seagull left and went back to the base. The following day, when everything was okay, I asked the people at the base, I said, by the way, did a seagull come here? And they said, cool, bloody hell, yeah. Came all the way to the restaurant. It was squawking and shouting. We couldn't get rid of it because the seagull was trying to tell them, your boss, he's got a problem, he's down there. But because they don't speak seagull.
Amazing. And what would you say is it's a loaded question again, but the single biggest lesson that the ocean has taught you, Tony?
Empathy. Empathy. Sea whispering comes from empathy. You can get, for example, South China Sea lone fisherman on his little boat in the middle of nowhere fishing, and he'll stop and he will empathize with the sea and speak to the sea and have an entire conversation for hours and hours with the sea. The sea will move him one way or the other and assist him to catch fish. And he can't even read or write, but he has this ability to, if you like, what I was talking about before, the autistic kids, they have this ability to listen, to understand, and connect entirely with empathy to the sea. Once you've got that, you've got everything.
That's it, empathy. If you could send a message to your younger self in a bottle, what would you say?
I would tell my younger self to double the prices, but I've since thought about it, and I've changed that to I would tell my younger self triple the price.
Well, you've got to account for inflation.
Yeah.
Speaking of historical younger selves and things, is there someone that you looked up to? Obviously, there was the pirate master captain that you studied under, but was he your idol? Was there someone that you idolized outside of him? Or was he your guy?
Oh, he was my idol, and through him I did meet a lot of retired and old pirates in places like Denmark and places like that. And they did add lots to the story, to the teaching, and etc. But of course, he was my number one idol. The guy was a magician. He was better than me. I'm good. I'm really good. I've got 100% record of completing every mission.
Oh, wow.
So I'm good. But he was magic, So you're going along, it's flat calm, you're in the middle of the Baltic, you're bored. All of a sudden he says, hey, can you hear that? You say, what? And you listen. And listen, and he teach you in about a minute to listen, how to listen. And you listen, and you can hear hundreds of thousands of cod all talking underneath the ship. So stop the ship, fish your knives out, and fill up the freezer.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think I would have learnt that without him.
Mm.
You know, he's magic.
Magic man. Who was his idol? Do you know?
Well, he taught me all about Solon and stuff. And at the time, I really wasn't interested. I was interested in learning navigation. I was interested in everything there was to know about the sea, you know. So what happened like 2,000 years ago, I really wasn't interested. And he did say, one day you will be. And now I am. Mm. So he was right.
Solon.
The principles of Solon, yeah.
Principles of Solon. Do you know anything about Zheng Yi Sao? I might be butchering the pronunciation of that.
Yeah, well, it's easier if you say Qing Shi, because that's a common name was Qing Shi.
Right.
Zhao was her husband's name. Anyway, she was in charge of the largest ever known fleet of pirate ships. When I say ships, a lot of them were just little sampans. But the fact of the matter is, the sampan had to be, you know, have a little captain on board, even if it was a small one. Yeah. And it had to be ordered to go here and go there. So to be able to communicate and order and make this fleet work, that is the secret of this lady. She was absolutely brilliant, and that is never talked about. Everyone talks about what she did at the Opium Wars and Hong Kong and all kinds of stuff. They even said she died in a brothel, which is bullshit.
That's where she started out, isn't it? She started out in a brothel.
Well, yeah, okay. But the fact of the matter is that she ended up a pirate queen. She ended up the biggest pirate queen ever known to man. Mm. So where she started and I started as a dishwasher, you know. So how this lady managed to control 1,000 vessels on an extremely long Chinese coast. Wow, that's amazing.
Is there a movie about her?
I think there is there, but you know, Hollywood's it wants to make it Hollywoodiana, and every single pirate film from Errol Flynn till now is wrong. So you've got a pirate ship. There's a scene. The captain's sitting at his table, and a geezer comes in, and he says, breakfast. And there's 2 eggs and bacon for the captain's breakfast. Well, pirates worked on equality, like I said before. So if the captain's going to get 2 eggs this morning for breakfast, everybody of the crew is going to get an egg. So where did all these eggs come from? Mm. Well, I'll tell you. There were all automatically 36 cages of chickens on the back part of the main deck. On the other side was usually 2 sows, one breastfeeding the little piggies. Have you ever seen a pirate ship with the chickens on board? And no. So, you know, why don't they get it right? It's easy to get it right.
Yeah. Well, what about did you ever see the Robin Williams film, Hook, with Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah. So
and Hook had a banquet.
I'm only going to say one thing. Where would Peter Pan be without Hook?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you need conflict. You need conflict to start have a good story.
Well, it keeps pirates alive in the mind and the imagination of the people.
J.M. Barrie did a good job there.
Yeah.
So you've got this film in the works, and you've said about the justification behind some forms of piracy. You seem very much connected to it all still. Is there going to be like a final voyage, or is it always going to be something that you'll always keep going back to?
Well, I'm always connected. As I say, when you have a name, I do have a name within my peers. So even though I'm not with them, they know that for certain things, it would be good to get my opinion. It would be good if they send me $1,000 and send me to Hanoi to have a look at something. It would be good to give me a telephone call and say, if you can tell us how to do this, we'll give you $500. Well, it's only $500, but it happened today. So I was on a call today. And so it's not the $500. I've got a nice house. I live here by myself. Everything's great. A big garden, trees and fruit and everything. I don't need money. I don't need a job. But I do this to stay connected. And so I suppose I'll always do it.
So you're like a pirate consultant these days?
Yeah.
Well, everyone's got to have a hobby.
I ran a pirate base in the Philippines called the Flying Dog. Every month, or sometimes might go 2 months, 3 months, there would be a meeting of pirates, depending on something that's happening somewhere in the area or the world. And they would come there knowing that whatever was said, whatever happens, there was no telephone, there was no cell phone, there was no electricity, only our generator. And so they came there knowing that they could be open and frank, and because sometimes you've got Taiwanese pirate and a Celebes pirate, and they don't even speak the same language. So they try to do a deal because you're in the middle, so you try to facilitate this deal, make sure they understand each other, stuff like that. And one day there was a pirate attack in a place called Zamboanga in the southern Philippines, and I was sent a private plane to go and meet this general and take her there because the general wanted to know how these pirates escaped. And my political situation at the time, I was a friend with senators and congressmen and governors, and eventually even the president himself, invite me to his house.
Wow.
So I had to be careful, There's no way I'm going to explain to the general how the pirates got away. So you find it a little bit tricky, but you get there in the end, yeah. So that's a little tiny story no one knows about.
Yeah. Well, also, I just remembered that I've seen on the website something about you being offered an MBE.
Yeah. When I had finished the incredible voyage of the Sperm Beach to Jeddah, just a few weeks later, I get a letter from His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. And the letter says, I can't officially comment on what you've done, but unofficially, job well done. And I went, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, I get called to the embassy to see the ambassador. And I'm called in there, it's Jeddah, you know what I mean? It's Jeddah, just, 35 kilometers from Mecca. And the ambassador said, would you like a sherry? I thought, a sherry. Anyway, he said, your name has been put forward for an MBA. And I have to ask you if you will accept, because apparently they ask you if you can accept it.
Right.
And I said, yeah, all right. I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't sure about it. But later, it was refused. And it was refused by the Cabinet Office, who, well, you can't have a pirate with an MBE, can you?
At least you got some kind of praise out of it from someone,
Yeah, I think in his heart, he was a pirate too. Great guy.
Yeah. Are you still in touch?
He's dead.
No, the Duke of Edinburgh.
He's dead.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about the Queen's.
The Queen's husband.
Yeah, Philip.
Yeah, Philip.
That's it. Oh, okay. Sorry, when you say Duke of Edinburgh, I always think of Charles, but he was the Duke of Edinburgh first, before. Right, gotcha. So I asked a few people to chuck us a few of their questions. So if you'll indulge, they're a mixed bag. The first one isn't really, I think it's more of a joke question. He was a guest on, I think, episode 6, Archie, from the Philippines, Archie Quevedo. And he simply asks, who is the captain now? And I think that is Archie's joke or reference to the film Captain Phillips, when the Somali pirates ask Tom Hanks, once they take control of the ship, they say, I'm the captain now, I think. Yeah. So it's not really a question I think you could answer, but if you do have an answer, that'd be amazing.
Well, as I say, Hollywood will portray the Captain Phillips as the poor guy, and the other guys are really the bad guys. Well, I understand that. Then they, of course, they write the dialogue. So I understand that. So the fact of the matter is that why it happened. Now, the reason it happened, I explained that earlier.
Yes.
But the problem is, listen carefully, you like the sea, you love the sea, otherwise you wouldn't follow this channel. The problem is that at the bottom of the Somali Sea, all this toxic waste is still there, waiting for a tsunami to move it and kill half of the Indian Ocean. So, let's not talk about Captain Phillips, let's talk about the toxic stuff that's going to kill the sea.
Yeah, that's a good answer to an otherwise silly question, Archie. I'm looking down the barrel of the lens at you, my friend. Not you, Tony. That was for Archie.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, another guest I had on recently, she works in acoustic monitoring and mammal observation. Sarah from she's Scottish. She just asked, where's the best port call you've ever had?
Oh, I would say Malta.
Malta? Why does that one stick out as the best?
Well, it sticks out because after we escaped from Gibraltar and the Royal Navy, we had no choice but to go to Malta because we had stuff there waiting for us.
Right.
So we thought, being like Malta and British and stuff, that we were going to have a problem. But when we walked in there, we were like heroes. So it was brilliant.
Amazing. From Gibraltar to Malta. That's a good name for a book. One of the better questions out of the ones I got, Russell asks, have you ever found any pirate treasure maps or treasure? And will SatNav make finding them easier today?
No, but I found where the treasure was. I just got there too late. I know where some treasure is, but it's quite irretrievable.
And you would want to keep that one to yourself, I'm sure. Don't want to go and giving anyone like the guys, what they called, Ocean Gate, the submersible people. You don't want to give them a tip off. Another question, Housey asks, is there a pirate island?
Well, yeah, I ran the Flying Dog. It was an island off Samar in the Philippines.
Yes.
It was great because there was no electricity, nothing, there's no cell phones or anything like that. So it was a pirate island. If you go onto Google Maps and you look at this, it's called Darupiri Island. If you look at that, you close in, you'll see Flying Dog Beach is still there, written in Flying Dog Beach. That was our island. There are other islands, but I'm really not going to tell you even which part of the world they're in.
Very wise. Silly question. Danielle asks, have you got a parrot?
I hate parrots.
You like seagulls?
Yeah.
Parrots,
hate parrots.
Tommy asks, how do you know you're a pirate? It's not like you've been
It's a slow process of learning. The more you learn, the more easier it becomes to learn more. And you get on this kind of accelerated learning process into your mind. And you realize that the only way I can learn all this stuff is being who I am, not by, going to university for 7 years, but doing what I'm doing.
Very good answer, yeah. So, there's no quick shortcuts. There's no verification email that you get or a certificate that says you are now a pirate. It's, of course, a process.
No, a pirate captain like myself, we have the authority to make people pirates. So I've made several people pirates for differing reasons that were to our benefit of being pirates. Otherwise, someone would have to do something to show everyone of his peers that he's a pirate.
Fair enough. Darren asks, does X really mark the spot?
Generally, no. It depends the form of the X, right? It could also determine a marooning, right? Somebody has been left on that island, marooned.
A marooned person. Oh, yeah.
This all started because we go back to the Pope and the King of France and raising the flag for the first time. The fleet of the Templars, who were basically a handful of Templars, right, but a lot of pirates, they went to Northern Ireland, okay? And there they split all the stuff up into 18 different lots, and they put it on 18 different ships, and they sailed towards America. So the chest of Solomon was divided into 18 parts that ended up somewhere in the Americas. The program was that these Templars, once they've got there and found a place, they would hide their portion of chest and make a map and get the map sent back to Scotland. So this is how the myth of the map treasure started. But it started in a real event. So the maps, after some time, after years, started to come back to Scotland, but some of them got intercepted. They were intercepted by people like the Vatican who were looking for them, who are now called Masons. And other entities like that got hold of some of these maps, and that is how they got their power. But they are divided. So all these Treasure Island was a story of going to retrieve one of these pieces of the chest. That's all.
Amazing. Another great answer to an otherwise very simple question. Finally, Cliff asks, why is the rum gone?
Oh, the rum's gone because he got drunk. Yeah.
Simple as that.
It's a bit of a fallacy because they weren't like that. They drunk, had a good time, but it wasn't all about rum.
No. What's your favourite cocktail or your favourite go-to beverage at sea?
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke. See, it's not a complete fallacy. You just added the Coke. And it's like, because I like rum, but it's like there's obviously different alcohols make you a different kind of drunk. Rum tends to make you kind of, at least for me, kind of like a happier drunk. Right? Yeah, you don't want any bad tempers. You wouldn't be giving everyone cans of Stella on board. It'd be a lot more violence.
Right.
But I think we should probably try to wrap things up. So I just want to say thank you so much. This has been really very, very interesting, and I could talk to you for a lot longer. But I think I'd rather do that in person when we go on that fishing trip.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to a UK audience.
That's one of the reasons why I started doing this, was just to help people share their deck tales from all walks of life. And as I said, now you're the first pirate. Who knows? I might have to, do a whole season on just talking to other pirates, and we'll have a good
lovely.
We'll have a good old knees up. Let me know when you're next in London. I'd love to come and treat you to a rum and Coke somewhere.
Yeah, I sent you an email the next time I'm coming.
Please do. All right, Tony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. See ya.
Bon voyage, shipmate. All the best. Take care.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of Deck Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie, and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. There are lots of other shows out there to compete with, so if you are enjoying Deck Tales, why not help us out by going over to Spotify or Apple and dropping us a 5-star rating? This will boost the show's visibility and help to attract new listeners every week. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials, because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your Captain Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on Deck Tales. Bon voyage!